Alright, stream's on. So, you want to learn Juggernaut. Welcome to this stream of learning Juggernaut. Let's start with the basics on Juggernaut. I'm doing this basically because a very good friend of mine started playing Dota, and he could use some pointers, and he wanted to see some pointers, so here we go. This is why the analysis is going to be in detail. It's going to be covering things, aspects that veteran players already know. It's going to cover things that veteran players do and know instinctively. So if it's not for you, it's not for you. Even though you may find useful things in the analysis itself. Let's start with what should we start with? About. Let's go with about. So the roles of Juggernaut is carry. You don't really support with Juggernaut. It's kind of hard. Although Juggernaut as a carry has one of the most helpful abilities in the game, in that he can heal the whole team as long as his ward is up. But you don't really pick Juggernaut unless you want to carry the game. He's also picked mid sometimes, but in really strange matchups. Looking at the health and mana attributes and gains, he's not one of the most strong heroes regarding attribute gains, nor attack. His armor is exceptional at 5.7 and scaling with agility, meaning that he's one of the most armored heroes in the game, along Terrorblade. His mobility is decent. It could be better. There are carries out there that have 330 movement speed, but there are also carries that have less, around 280, so he's right in the middle, which helps with his Blade Fury, as I'll talk about later. You have magic resistance is basic, vision is basic, it doesn't matter. One of the base attack time is one of the most important ones, because he has such a good base attack time. Attack speed scales on him unlike any other hero, and turn rate is also decent. He's no Puck, in that Puck used to have garbage turn rate, but he's still good. And coupled with Blade Fury, that's really important. Good. So with all this down, the attack spread is actually really low. Most carries have good attack, scaling with agility, and it makes it easy for them to last hit. But for some carries, the attack spread is kind of large. With Juggernaut is almost pitch perfect. You can't really miss last hits because the attack spread is, for example, attacking too low. Let's go with lore, read at your desire. The guides. I recommend activating the main guide, but not necessarily respecting it. So how do you do this in the game? You open the shop, I'll show you when I get there. And you basically choose a guide, you activate it. At that point, your ability build and your items will be highlighted with explanations for why. Regarding build, I've seen,
An old vessel, but more than...
Okay, I clicked randomly. Juggernaut. Alright, so regarding items, I've seen my friend buy a ton of regen, which is not wrong. It's actually one of the good things about what he's doing. Regen is often overlooked by new players in the favor of stats, because they underestimate the capacity of regen in the laning phase, thinking they're just consumables and they're just throwing money out the window. But regen is most of the time an investment, because investing in regen makes you so that you can stand in lane and gather more resources. So what you do is you, for example, spend 95 gold on tangos or 110 on the salve, and you're allowed to stand in lane more because you will be getting harassed and you'll have the consumables to regen with. If you didn't have those consumables, you'd be forced to walk out back to base, regen in the base, teleport back to lane, which kind of hampers your progression as both a carry and a support. Literally no hero should be doing this effectively, walking back and forth between lane and base to regen, to fountain, I mean. Then you have a set of tangos and a salve. The difference between tango and salve: tango heals less overall, and salve heals more, but salve is burst healing. So if you take, for example, 100 damage in lane, you won't want to burn a salve, which heals 410, to heal back to full, because you will be wasting the 300 regen extra that the salve provides. So you'd be better off eating a tango, even if the salve heals more and is potentially more valuable. It's situational. Also, tango can be eaten. You can eat a tree with a tango and regen while in combat while taking player damage. Salves and clarities get dispelled upon taking damage from enemy heroes and Roshan, so you can't really do battle, do harass, I don't know, go for a gank, go for a kill and salve up. It doesn't work. However, tower damage does not cancel the salve or the clarity. You can tank tower damage and enemy creeps for days. Okay, beyond this, you get a Quelling Blade. Quelling Blade is one of those items that are very, very efficient, especially after the patch, because you have the Quelling Blade. What the Quelling Blade does is 130 gold for 15 attack against creeps. And you'll say, yes, but it's not damage against heroes. Yes, but it accelerates your farm, so you can get the damage for against the heroes. By comparison, 15 damage, 15 base, no, 15 extra damage, where is it, learn items. I think that's a broadsword. I could be wrong. Yeah, broadsword is 1,000 gold. So dealing 15 more damage to enemy heroes is 1,000 gold for the game. While Quelling Blade against creeps is 130. That's tremendous efficiency. You can also cut trees with it, and we'll get to that later. But this is a must for virtually any melee carry that wants to farm. Slippers of Agility is kind of self-explanatory. Agility. Juggernaut is an agility hero. He scales with agility. Agility also increases past damage because that's his main attribute. It also increases attack speed, 1 point of attack speed for 1 agility, and for every 6 points of agility, 1 point of armor. So you buy slippers, you get 0.5 armor, stacking on top of his already high armor. It's huge. He's getting huge fast, and his agility gain is pretty large. So in a few levels, you'll be able to tank most things. His strength gain is kind of but still, it's pretty good. I've seen worse. Wow, I'm gonna lose the strength with him. I wonder. I'll analyze one of these games, so that'll be great to watch. Okay, so back to the guide. Mango is recommended. I usually don't start with mango. I just fear myself a clarity in the mango after I farmed a bit, and I'm going, instead of a mango, I get 2 ironwood branches, which are +1 to all attributes. And that's about everything for the starting items. You can get it depends. Your item build depends a lot on the matchup, because Juggernaut being a carry, he's supposed to carry the game. I mean, how should I put this? At some point with enough gold, he will be able to solo the entire enemy team if the enemy carry is less farmed, or if your supports and even you at some point if you stun the enemy carry properly. His skills and the item build could enable that. That's why he's called the carry hero. He can carry the game alone. So it also depends on a lot of factors, but it is possible. I've seen in my 6,000 plus hours of Dota, I've seen Juggernaut do this. Trust me when I say that farming is your #1 priority, and then it also falls to efficiency and resource management, in the sense that if you can show up to a fight and use your ultimate and your Q, for example, your first skill, to get kills, it's actually more valuable than getting farm, AFKing and just hitting creeps and farming jungle, simply because you put your team in a greater position to win and secure space for the team, in a way, space on the map I mean, which kind of trumps just hitting creeps. Melee creeps give 40 gold and range creeps give 60 if I'm not wrong. I could be wrong here, they changed it so much in the past patches. Needless to say, range creeps are easier to kill than melee creeps, and they provide more experience and more gold than the melee counterparts. So securing the range creep in lane is kind of the good thing. Even so, a full wave of creeps, which spawns each 30 seconds, so each 30 seconds a wave of creeps will start walking from each base and meet in the middle. Getting a kill trumps all the time farming creeps. This is a concept that not even at my MMR, even a bit higher, MR, people do not understand, and that's why you only see high immortal players actually TP to join fights with their carry heroes. You also see them farming, but that's maybe because they'll see the fight. For example, there's a fight bottom and they're farming top, and they move their camera to the fight and determine that the fight is unwinnable even if they would be there. That's entirely possible, and they'll just continue farming. That means they're simply picking the path of least resistance to achieve victory. But more often than not, at lower ranks, you'll see winnable fights that the carry could just come and clean up, and they just either don't have the map awareness to look there, or they simply just want to farm creeps and think it's the right answer. So with all of this in mind and setting it sort of aside, it's important to farm with Juggernaut. But whenever you have your ultimate, you should come in for a fight. Not search it on the map by yourself, but be aware of what happens on the map and where the enemy heroes are, so that you can teleport opportunistically and use your ultimate and get out. 1 kill is kind of enough, 2 are extremely good. It's also, tactically speaking, if you don't join fights as a carry, while the enemy carry joins fights, you are kind of prone to losing, simply because the enemy carry, your team will fight 5 versus 4, the enemy carry will have a better timing, and they will simply secure more and more space of the map until it will have no place left to farm other than in front of your base, which is, you don't want to get there. For example, an Ursa, which has a better timing than Juggernaut potentially, and can man up to him and fight him. If an enemy Ursa joins fights and you do not, and your team is getting stomped, you are probably going to lose the game. You need to itemize in such a way that you can counter the enemy Ursa early, and make sure that you either play around with your team to stop the Ursa's timings, which are quite early. An Ursa will look to fight as soon as he has ultimate, and since his ultimate is lower cooldown than yours, he will be in a better position to actually play a more fast-paced game of Dota. Okay, let's talk about skills for a bit. You have Blade Fury, which I'm talking most of all for my friend Ram here, but everyone could get this. Let's go into the demo. It's much easier to visualize.
You have summoned Juggernaut.
Alright, so we're going to level 3. This is an up to 1 point in every skill. Normally you don't want to do this build. What you want to do is at level 3 to get the 2nd point in Blade Fury, because it's good. As you can see, the radius of Blade Fury is this. It is much larger than what the... So this is the radius. It is much larger, the radius in which damage is dealt, than the model, the effective represented radius of the spell, which is quite how should I put this? Counterintuitive. There are certain items that change the skin of the Blade Fury itself, which make the radius bigger, but know that you just have to clip them a bit on the edge to actually deal damage to them. So what does Blade Fury do? Blade Fury lasts for 5 seconds, if I'm not wrong, yeah, and deals a tremendous amount of damage per second, 85 at level 1, to all units in its radius. Coupled with his movement speed, you can deal a lot of damage to enemy, both heroes and creeps with it. The more you increase the skill in level, the less the cooldown is, and the less the mana cost, so that's why you have to max it first. With a bit of math, you realize that you are dealing 425 damage per second to... No, 425 damage total to enemy units in its radius at level 1, and at level 5 that's a tremendous 900 damage, 800 damage. To both heroes and creeps and whatever is unlucky enough to be in your radius. 800 damage at level 4, so it's level 7 for the hero. So early in the game is huge. There won't be many heroes that could just stand in lane with you once you have levels in this ability, and it scales pretty well. Good. On to the next ability. Actually, let me talk a bit more about Blade Fury, because you can do all sorts of things with this ability. Because of Blade Fury, Juggernaut is usually built on movement speed, so boots of speed, wind lace. all of a sudden I'm moving at 370 movement speed, and all I have to do is run at an enemy hero that has less movement speed than me, and they will not be able to escape. They will take the full duration of Blade Fury to the face, and potentially even die if I have a support with me. They could even die alone, because while Blade Fury... Okay, about Blade Fury and how it works. I'll spawn a hero here. Let me give him, I don't know, some... Good. So, some level up enemy. Alright, so now you can see, he's right here. Let's go with max level Blade Fury. Level up, level up. Okay, we won't skill our ultimate yet. So what Blade Fury does is deal damage. See, he takes 24 damage per second. He actually takes a lot of damage here, even with Sanjin Yasha. Let me drop it. Let's refresh again and see how much it deals. So he starts at 1500 HP. And he, even with his 9 points of regen, he just took 550 points of damage. It's a third of his HP, which is huge. However, what Blade Fury doesn't do, so my attacks deal 48, 35, 49, depending on the spread. And when I spin, even though the attack sound is heard and the critical hit appears, if I crit him, you will see that only the 24 damage is dealt because of his HP. See? Only the last attack hit. So while spinning, you do not deal right click damage, because you are still immune, and quite funnily, if he has a BKB, and he BKBs while you Blade Fury, okay, you don't deal either, okay, I thought this got changed probably. I thought that Blade Fury being spell immune and not taking damage from Blade Fury would make it so that you could actually damage him, but that's not true. Let's push this wave to show another functionality of Blade Fury. Juggernaut's pretty good at securing objectives and actually last hitting towers because he can actually deal damage to buildings while spinning. So you cannot damage enemy units while spinning, but you can damage buildings, which makes you... Blade Fury, by the way, makes you spell immune, if I haven't mentioned this before. What that means is that you cannot be affected by, for example, Axis W. This is his debuff, damage over time and a slow. And by spinning, I dispel myself, and I become spell immune. It means he cannot use it. Okay, he could. Let's demonstrate this again. He cannot use it. Target immune automatic thing. Okay, good. That has been demonstrated. Another thing you can do is, since you become spell immune, and probably you haven't thought about it like this, you could spin and teleport. You can spin and use any items in your inventory. You can even put down the ward. You cannot use your ultimate, unfortunately, but you can put down the ward even while spinning to heal your team and yourself. You can use items, let's say Manta, for example. You spin and you Manta. Why you would want to do this, I don't know, but it's there, it's possible. You could spin and blink dagger out of fights.
Blink dagger.
Spinning here, pretty useful things to have. And this applies to the ultimate as well. As for the ward, it has tremendous tactical potential. It's a percentage of maxed health healing, which is quite, don't want to say unique. There are other percentage maxed health healing in the game, like Heart of Tarask, but this one is pretty useful because it's a normal ability. It has a long cooldown time, making it on par, putting it on par with some ultimate abilities, but it is simply that strong. It lasts for so long, 25 seconds, at 5% health per second at level 5, that is simply huge. You just need 20 seconds to heal to full, which means that the extra 5 seconds are leeway, first of all. Second of all, you can maneuver it, so when you first put it up, it will follow you by default. It moves at a fixed movement speed of 350, and however you can maneuver it wherever you want. And I've seen plenty Juggernaut players, and especially pro players, maneuver the ward during fights while their hero is right clicking or spinning, because you have so much time on your hand, to a favorable position or a position the enemy heroes cannot reach to destroy it. It dies in one hit, so that's the trick with it. It is very strong, but it's also very vulnerable. So see, the stacks will kill it in one hit. It has one hit worth of HP, then there's no health on it. It simply dies in one hit from any creep, any hero, any unit. I think even Necronomicon, like summons, even summons one hit. but you can do all sorts of dirty things with it. For example, you have a melee hero like Axe. Let me get the Axe again. For example, you have Axe, and you're fighting somewhere around the ledge. You're fighting here. You're fighting with him, he's fighting with you, and you put the ward up here, and he cannot reach it. He needs to go around. Which means he just won the fight, and he has to retreat. Of course, you won't be able to kill him simply by right-clicking, because he will retreat. But the idea is that enemy heroes have to walk around ledges to actually affect the ward. And this ward alone can single-handedly win a fight. If they have no ranged heroes, or heroes with vision, because as you can see here, I cannot see what's on the ledge. So if I was fighting an enemy Juggernaut while being an Axe, for example, and he put a ward over here, I would be none the wiser. And of course I'd see the healing, but it'd take me a few seconds to figure out that I have to retreat, and the engagement will be lost for me. So that's interesting ideas of how to, or you could use it in the trees, interesting juke potential ideas to actually, you could put a ward here and fight over here. Of course you'd maneuver it here to actually benefit from the healing. Okay, let's go to the third ability, which is a critical strike. It is on the low powered end of the critical strikes. It only deals 1.8 times the damage, but its critical hit chance goes up by level up to 35%, which is quite rare for critical hits. Daedalus I think is 20%. It might be more. 30%, okay. When did it become 30%? It's so strong. To deal 225, which is arguably, yeah, it's stronger than this one. I think the math favors a Daedalus because a 5% chance doesn't account for 45% more. But still. Good. So the critical hit is used to actually farm. The skill build and how it should look. Let's see, can I select new hero? Okay, I'll select Luna, return, and I'll select him again. Select new hero. Well, where was it? Okay, Jug. Alright, Jug level 1. So you're leveling up. First point goes into Blade Fury. You level up. Second goes into Blade Dance. You level up again. Blade Fury, level up. Healing Ward. You level up. Get your Q. Get your ultimate. Okay. And the second skill to max is Blade Dance. You go full Blade Dance. As you can see, the guide highlights it for me, which makes it easy. Then at level 11, not at level 10, you get your talent. You can get 5 all stats or movement speed. Talents largely are very situational. You need to know what you need to realize what you need. Plus 5 to all stats gives you 100 HP, almost 1 point of armor, 5 more damage, 5 attack speed, and mana and mana regen. What's it good for? It's good for fighting and taking hits, because more HP means more life. Movement speed helps you to go between camps and actually farm faster. And move faster in team fights. It aids with your Blade Fury. It lets you... Generally, movement speed is more valuable than stats, but that could change depending on the matchup. The guide suggests stats. I like movement speed most of the time, because I can stack movement speed with Boots of Speed, with Windlace, and with other movement speed items. For example, I now move at 370. If I get the movement speed talent, I move so fast at 390. And then I can effectively, I don't know, maybe I buy a Yasha to get a Manta and I move at 421. And there are very little heroes, there's a small pool of heroes that can actually run from me right now, which puts me in a good position to both deal full amounts of damage from Blade Fury to lone targets that cannot cope with Blade Fury itself. For example, talking about countering Blade Fury, how you counter Blade Fury is as follows. You need a hero that is capable of tanking the damage while dealing physical damage to the Juggernaut that's spinning. For example, let's take this poor Axe. No, let's not take the poor Axe, bad example. Let's make a new enemy. Let's take let's see. Phantom Assassin is a good example. Enemy. Okay, there's the Phantom Assassin. Let's level up to level 11. It's a good example. Let's go with, say she bought Treads. Okay. And 2 Wraith Bands, a Wand. What other early game items would she have? A Blightstone. She'd have a Blightstone and a Mask of Death. because the Juggernaut will start spinning into her, like her boots would normally be on agility because she's also an agility hero. She can't run, she's 350 movement speed. Let's suppose there are no creeps around she can teleport to with her Q, because she can teleport to both enemies and allies with her ability. But let's suppose you found her alone in the forest and there are no creeps around. Perfect situation to actually kill her. She has a bit more HP than you, and once she switches treads to strength, she will be able to have even more HP, 1400. Let's suppose this Juggernaut rushed to Yasha for the movement speed. So he's going to spin, and all she has to do is actually... Oh, she doesn't have any skills on. Never mind. Let's go for here, one here, one here, one here, one here. Help, always help. Okay, so let's suppose she looks like this. She has a lot more HP now, she has her skills on. She has her critical strike, which is a 15% chance, but at level 1 deals 200% damage and skills. At the level 18 Phantom Assassin deals 4.5 times the amount of damage. Has a chance to deal 4.5 times damage per attack. So let's see who wins here. As you can see, she can actually man fight, and because of her blur, which makes her go up in evasion, she will actually win this engagement with early game items in this situation. Which means that Juggernaut needs to steer clear of her until he has an MKB. Sorry for the analysis to be all over the place, but I'm kind of drifting from one thing to the other. So now it will be quite easy for Juggernaut to actually not miss into blur and deal more damage to him. There's also an extra item, so let's see she has Desolator, because that's a common item on Phantom Assassin. Putting this down, refreshing. Oh well, Desolator kind of bridges the gap. If you factor in skills, I think Juggernaut wins. Okay, Juggernaut, it was pretty close though. If you factor in Omni Slash, well, she can blur out of Omni Slash, it's kind of iffy. In any case, back to the analysis. So how you beat Juggernaut is you have a hero that has more HP than him and that can deal physical damage to him. You basically just tank the spell and just respond, attack, continue attacking. What is next? The ultimate. The ultimate's pretty fun. It's one of the satisfying ultimates in the game. Some ultimates in the game are not straight away satisfying, but this one is. You basically attack someone while invulnerable for a designated period of time based on your attack speed, and you get bonus damage against them. And if multiple enemy units are there, you can jump from one to the other randomly. In the past, there was a trick to actually keep holding onto one enemy. Let's see if it works. Level up enemy to max. Okay. There was a trick for effectively... Okay, die creep. Okay. There was a trick to make Juggernaut, while slashing, stick to one enemy. That meant you would repeatedly attack the axe, but it's kind of... If you don't get the right click off on time, he will just have a chance to jump, which means that it will be quite hard. You also... The slashes themselves will also slow in time because you might stop a normal attack, but it is doable. Like with Blade Fury, while in Omni Slash you can use items. So let's get a Blink Dagger, let's get a Manta to demonstrate. You slash, you Manta, you Blink. Let's try that again. You could potentially flash somewhere, Manta. Oh, you can't blink out of Omni Slash anymore? That's interesting. The game receives so many patches. Yeah, you can blink out of it. Interesting. Interesting. I didn't know that. You can use items during Omni Slash, but why can't I blink? Interesting. You used to be able to blink out of this and effectively jump across the battlefield and continue slashing, because it had a time it searched for units. There was an interval under a second during which units were searched for, and if Omni Slash still had a duration, he would simply continue slashing. Interesting, I didn't know. Abyssal works? let's test that. Abyssal Blade is a core item on, well, it's a late game item on Juggernaut, in that with this you can bash enemies and stun them on every right click. You also have an active component that can teleport you to an enemy and stun them for 2 seconds through spell immunity. So let's see. Yeah, it works, interesting, but I can't blink. Determined overpowered, I don't know. Interesting. I can't blink out of it, but I can use Abyssal, which is like a mini blink. In any case. So what you want to do with Juggernaut is find an enemy hero, potentially spin into them before, and then use Omni Slash, or the other way around. You could use Omni Slash first and then spin to actually kill them. That's in the early game. In the late game, depending on your item build, some people suggest Battle Fury. There's also a build with Diffusal and Manta to burn the enemy's mana. You can, with Battle Fury, your farm rate is accelerated early. With Battle Fury, your farm rate is accelerated very fast in the early game. It becomes very fast to farm, very easy to farm. You can move from camp to camp due to your superior movement speed, especially coupled with a Manta, and you simply accelerate. Also, what Battle Fury does is, when in team fights, is it makes your slashes deal cleave damage. So they damage more than one hero, more than one unit, potentially spilling, like this. Let's see. Slash, and see, everyone takes damage in this area because of the cleave. Which makes Juggernaut clumping around against Juggernaut kind of problematic for enemy teams and enemy heroes. You see the Battle Fury effect, the cleave, the red cleave, on illusions, although it doesn't work. In the past it used to work, and now cleave doesn't work with Battle Fury anymore. Well, illusions don't work with cleave Battle Fury anymore. Alright, as for boots, because upgrading boots is an essential part of the game, depending on the matchup and how fast the enemy heroes are, and if Blade Fury is usable, usable as in you could potentially get kills if you had more movement speed, you could get phase boots, which are an active item that you can activate to get more movement speed, to move even faster. Needless to say, this is compatible with Blade Fury, effectively turning into a Beyblade of destruction in that, running at people. Or the other option for boots is Power Treads, which, depending on the attribute it is switched on, it will increase it. So, as a comparison, Power Treads give you 45 movement speed, which is the amount of movement speed you get from Face as well, I think. Yeah, so they give the same amount of movement speed. Then Power Treads give you 10 selected attribute, which will be Agility when farming, which would transition into 10 damage, 1.4 armor, 1.4, let's see, 1.4, actually how much armor is that? It's 1.6-ish armor, and 35 attack speed because you have 25 from the boots and 10 from the agility. When walking into fights and when you're at the point of taking damage, you could switch them to strength for the extra life they grant you, and that's actually the best part about Power Treads. You can switch them to, depending on the task you're undertaking, switch them to End to get more mana and consume less mana potentially before using your ability. What else is there? Let's compare with Face Boots, continue comparison. So this gives you 35 attack speed and 10 damage, which is great. What Face Boost gives you is 4 armor, which is a bit more than Power Treads on agility. Double, actually. But Juggernaut doesn't need armor, because he already scales with agility decently. He has 19 armor, for example, at level 18. He doesn't need a 4 armor. Unless there's, like, I don't know, armor debuffs in the enemy team. It's a weird situation. And it gives damage, melee damage to be exact. 18 melee damage, it's a bit more than Power Treads. So, as far as raw armor and damage are concerned, Face Boots are superior, but the attack speed is so good for farming that I will always recommend getting Power Treads also on a low mana pool hero like Juggernaut, because you can switch between them to make your spells cost less, as far as, what's it called? To make spells cost less, a less percentage of your total mana pool. So, when I have them on agility, let's say I'm farming, I have 663 mana, my Blade Fury is 90 mana, I'm left with 500. It will regenerate fast because I have Battle Fury, but in the early game, when I don't have all these items, for example, I only have treads and, I don't know, 2 Wraith Bands, and a stick, a magic stick. This is like the early game item for Juggernaut. When I use Blade Fury, my mana is a 2-point regeneration. It will regenerate slowly. And considering the low cooldown of Blade Fury, in my opinion, you can spin from camp to camp and run out of mana pretty easily, especially if you're also using a ward or waiting to get into a team fight with Omni Slash. Which means that treads, if used properly, you switch them to int, 700, you spin, you have 600 left, you switch them back to power to agility, and you have 500 left. Percentage wise, you will use less because treads in and of themselves give you 120 mana extra to play with. So when using, there's a bit of math here, but what I'm trying to say is that if you switch to int, you will be far more mana efficient than if you wouldn't be switching to int. And that's basically why it's actually better to go power treads on mana hungry heroes. And also you can tank more damage, and people often do not change their treads between attributes and overlook this ability. 200 HP can save your life. I've seen fights that people would live, people wouldn't die in certain fights if they just switched their treads to strength before going in. And yeah, 10 attack speed and 10 damage is good, but 200 life keeps you alive. You die when you're at 0, so yes, that's about it. There's also a build with Maelstrom on Juggernaut, because during Omni Slash you proc Maelstrom hits, like this. So I slash, and Maelstrom gets procced depending on when the proc happens, but every hit can actually trigger the Chain Lightning from Maelstrom. Okay, putting it down. What else was there? As far as Diffuse was also good because it burns mana from heroes. Any on-hit effect with Juggernaut is pretty good. Abyssal, needless to say. MKB, needless to say. Reading these items makes it obvious why you want them. Butterfly is an exceptional item for him because it increases the attack speed of the hero. It also provides evasion and damage, and it makes him slash extremely fast. For example, extra level 20. I like the movement speed here actually, and 20 attack speed you can buy from the shop. I always prioritize talents that I cannot buy from the shop, because I can buy 20 attack speed from the shop. It costs me 500 gold. There's a Gloves of Haste, I think, or something different. Yeah, Gloves of Haste, 450 gold to get this talent effectively from the shop. But this I cannot buy from the shop, which makes it better. Movement speed, just the same. I can buy some movement speed from the shop, but I cannot buy infinite movement speed from the shop. Stacking movement speed is pretty hard, so yeah. 5 to all stats I can buy from the shop. It's a drums, I think. Drums of Endurance. 6 to all attributes, okay. And it gives some movement speed and more mana regen. So I'm gonna go for this. This is kind of iffy. This is the point where talents, even though I can't buy this from the shop, the Blade Fury DPS, sending it to 300 per second, that's 1500 damage total, by the way. Even though I can't buy this from the shop, when I have level 20, the enemy carrier will also be quite farmed, will be in a decent point to contest me in combat and right-clicking each other, and they could have a BKB, which means that the Blade Fury damage is kind of useless against them, which makes me want to go 8 armor purely out of how should I put this? Purely out of necessity, not necessarily because in a vacuum this is better because I can also buy armor from the shop, but considering that I may deal no damage at all, and this could be a useless talent when going against an enemy carry, which is what I want to do, I think I could go for armor. Although this kind of melts supports. If I get the full spin duration, they just die. Look how strong this is, and look at the speed I'm spinning with. This also clears camps, so I can farm even faster. It's iffy. However, when meeting another carry, I would like to have the 8 armor. And let's go to max level. Well, not max level, the X max level. Over here, it's probably Omni Slash duration because you could just end fights with this. However, 475 health is always available. This is a bonus you only get during your ultimate of 1 second, so it's only good when you use Omni Slash, and when you don't have it, it's simply bad, and because it has a large high cooldown, it's sort of counterintuitive to pick it, while 475 health is nothing to sneeze at and is useful every fight. That's basically why, but this can end fights and makes you a powerhouse when in team fights too. It's just that if the enemy team catches you without your Omni Slash, this talent will be basically useless. If you're fighting without Omni Slash, this is a basically useless talent. So it'd probably be safer to go health. Alright, let's see full build Juggernaut. Windlace kind of becomes obsolete. Treads you will hold on to. Let's go with the Battle Fury build. So you'd go Battle Fury. Butterfly will probably be the 3rd or 4th item you pick up. Manta's good, Diffusal's good, Abyssal's good. And that's about it. You could potentially swap out Diffusal Blade with the Monkey King part if they have evasion like Phantom Assassin here. But most of the time it'll be Diffusal. For this exercise, let's use MKB because we have some dodgy heroes here. Let's add some more enemies and level them up. Alright. Moving them here. They don't have any items, but this is what you can do to an enemy team with an Omni Slash. So you basically just won the fight alone if they clump together. Of course, this is a lot more than 5 heroes, but it's still doable. Simply because of the slash duration. Alright, that's about it for the theoretical guide. I should talk to it. I'm going to simply play a game of Juggernaut and see where that leads us. And enjoy it. Maybe you can, I don't know. I should actually analyze one of my older replays first. And then let's pick the game I lost and the game I won. Let's go with 16 deaths, single draft. Okay, I think I fed there. All pick ranked. This is probably it's a bad game probably. I want one that I lost, not as a stomp, but captainsman ranked. Wow, these are old games. Okay, I don't think I have a good enough game to show. Might have just to play on. These are old patches because it's 2018. It makes it sort of obsolete to show them. Beyblade, yep. Should just play a game, I guess. Oh, I'm in low priority with this account, okay. Maybe I should switch accounts. Actually, just show a small bot game to fix some concepts. Because probably a normal game is kind of much for the state of my friend's capabilities right now. Alright, so this is, as I talked about, a starting build. This is a starting build. Tango, Steel Salve, Slippers, Iron Branch, Quelling Blade. While I'm in the picking phase, I will check to see if I understand the enemy lanes properly. So I'll probably have a Tidehunter and Bounty Hunter in lane with the Crystal Maiden support. I think my friend saw what Crystal Maiden does. She slows and roots enemies and deals damage over time to them. And burst damage, of course. Which will be helpful with both the Bounty Hunter, with the Tide not so much. Tide is exceptionally strong against physical damage, but he is weak against magical damage, what makes... Well, but he's not weak against it as much as you can damage him more effectively with it.
Juggernaut.
And the Bounty Hunter has good armor, much like Juggernaut, so... Spin is pretty valuable in this lane.
Better get ready.
I'll show like, I don't know, 10 minutes max of the bot game. And maybe show a real game afterwards, because there's no need to play against bots for long. The scripts are easily abusable, but I can still show some lane concepts that go well. Probably switch to a Smurf. Well, Smurf. Do another account. Some map concepts first. This is exclusively for newbies and people that don't know exactly what's going on the map. Creep spawn at 0, 0. It's 044 is minus 043. At 0, 0 you have a rune here, a rune here, and a rune here, and a rune here. These runes are called bounty runes. They only spawn each 5 minutes, starting at the start of the match at 0. So 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, so on and so forth. They give gold to the entire team. Whoever picks them up gives gold to the entire team. Their value in gold goes up equal to the amount spent in the match. So the 5-minute rune will yield more gold than the 0-minute rune, and so on. They are very good to jumpstarting the team. If a team gets all of the runes, they're in a better position to buy consumables. They could potentially win their lanes just from that, at least in matches which are played at the higher skill level. The runes on the river, which are called power runes, this one here, right in front of Roshan. There's a spot here where a rune will spawn, and one here. They spawn each 2 minutes, starting at the 4-minute mark. In recent patches, it used to be different, but now it's starting at the 4-minute mark. So at each even minute, starting at 4, one of these spots will have a rune on them, which can be 1 out of 6 runes: haste, double damage, illusion, regeneration, arcane, and invisibility. Those are the runes. Each do a nice thing. Each rune, including the bounty runes, fills your bottle. So if you have a bottle, which is this item here, it has 3 charges. If it has 0 charges, it regenerates your mana and HP. If it has 0 charges and you pick up a rune, the bottle will store the rune. You will be able to activate it whenever you want, which is very good for power runes. For example, you have a double damage rune, you walk to it, you bottle it, you walk around with it bottled, so its effect wouldn't have started yet. And there's a team fight on bottom lane. You either walk there or teleport, and you simply activate the double damage when you go into the fight, and so on and so forth with every other rune. Bounties can be activated later, but there's little reason to do later activations, simply because they're instant value to the entire team, and you should simply give economic value to that. There's no tactical advantage to bounties. The battle charges stay there, so that's why bottle is an exceptionally useful item for middle laners. It depends on middle laner, but still. Alright, so towers. I saw my friend struggling with towers. Towers, if you hold Alt, have I can't see. Okay, I can see that.
Alright,
okay.
carry on.
Towers have an attack range, which is visible if you hold Alt. This is the tower range tower attack range, sorry. If you walk into it, it'll attack you. If there are multiple, okay, I have a concurrent wind rage, weird bots. If there are multiple units in its range, it will attack according to a priority. So the priority goes as follows: units that are attacking heroes, allies to it, will get targeted first. Out of these, melee units, actually no, it doesn't matter. Or does it? No, melee units that attacked first. So if you have a ranged unit and the melee unit attacking a hero, the melee unit will get prioritized first. If you have a ranged unit that attacked an allied hero to it, earlier than the... If you have a ranged unit that attacked the hero earlier than the melee unit, the ranged unit will be prioritized by nature or by influence of the timestamp of the attack. So if you're the first thing that attacks it, it doesn't matter if you're melee ranged, you're still gonna get bonked with it. Then if there are no enemy heroes getting attacked under it in its range, it will prioritize attacking allies. And if there are no things attacked by itself, it will prioritize things that attack it. If you have both ranged units and... So let's see there are creeps here, and the creeps start hitting the tower, 1 ranged and 3 melee. If there one creep dies and both the melee and ranged have attacked the tower in the past 5 seconds, it will attack melee. It will always attack melee. This is useful to know for ranged heroes because you can just right click it, deal damage to it without fear of getting attacked because it will always target the melee creeps first. Okay, that's about tower aggro. Actually, it's not that only. If you attack an enemy hero and you get targeted, for example, you want to harass the enemy under the tower, you can switch aggro. You can fool the enemy tower and the enemy units. This works for units as well, not for heroes though, because those are player control. If enemy units, including towers, attack you and you want to de-aggro them, to clean your aggro, so to speak, all you have to do is execute an attack order on an allied unit, be it a hero or a creep unit, and the enemy units will think of you as an ally, as stupid as that may sound. At least that's my headcanon. It's coded, it's scripted, I'm sure of it, but that's my headcanon. They will think of you as betraying your own comrades and ignore you. Great, I know. So if you're under the tower and take aggro from the tower, all you have to do is stop attacking the enemy and attack your creeps, and the tower will start ignoring you after 1 second. That is useful to know. Okay, so my objective here, starting the game, is to investigate the lane. You could get first blooded for this if you have a competent team. I do this all the time, as when I'm playing mid, I always go top or bottom depending on dire rating and just kill the support for easy gold. I'm going to take this rune here and just walk to the lane. When the game starts, you don't want to be doing what this witch doctor is doing. You want to secure a rune.
Put me in the vanguard.
Right now I have 72 attack damage against creeps, which puts me in a good position to farm. Alright, so the lane is going to come here. And because this is a sort of aggressive lane, I'll show you a trick to actually ease lane pressure on yourself and not take as much damage as you would be taking. Alright, so creeps meant right here. There's the Kunkka here and there's a Wind Ranger here. Wind Ranger can right click me and deal damage without fear of me retaliating, and Kunkka has to start 700 HP. My Blade Fury does not deal enough damage to him to actually do something. We will be able to kill them on level 2 when Witch Doctor will have Maledict, because Maledict scales off the damage that has been dealt to the hero already. Good. With all this in mind, Kunkka's Tidebringer has harass potential, which is not okay. Right now the lane's fine because the tower cannot hit it. What you want to do in the early game is keep the lane as much as you can right under your tower, but without the tower hitting it. That means that you are ungankable. All they can do is harass me. They cannot outright kill me, and they cannot rotate a hero to kill me. Well, the mid hero is kind of weird. Tidehunter cannot really gank people, and he's sort of a farmer that wants a blink dagger to join fights later. He's an off lane hero, not a mid hero. But usually the mid hero is an active hero that can rotate the lanes. So, and if I have my lane over here, there is literally no way for the enemy mid to actually come kill me, or another support such as Bounty Hunter to come kill me. Well, they could try to come kill me, but they'd have to actually tank tower hits, which puts me in a great defensive position. So this is what you want. You want to farm the creeps under the tower. Kill this. Okay, I'm not going to be able to take that. Okay, so now the Witch Doctor tried to issue an attack order on him, which caused the creep to walk around. This is probably very boring, but all of these things matter. Walk around. The creeps aggroed him because he attacked an enemy hero, wherever that hero might be. You could issue an attack order on the top lane and the creeps would aggro you here. That's how the game works. And now the tower is attacking it, which will cause the creep to die earlier than my creeps. I will be left with an extra creep in lane, which will cause the lane to push and make the lane slightly unsafe for me. Still have to take the last hit. Okay, but as you can see here, now my job, as the lane is like this, is to deny these creeps so I can restore lane equilibrium and have the lane okay again. Restoring lane equilibrium right now, it will be impossible because I somehow would have to kill both of these creeps and have this range creep attack this range creep for them to actually die sort of at the same time, but that will be impossible unless they drag the creeps on them or something. Let's see what happens. Okay, so there's a deny there. I have to take this creep. I took it. And they still have a bit. The lane advanced a bit. This creep has to die. I'm going to eat a tango because I'm out of HP. The witch doctor's advancing over there very dangerously. So what this lane imbalance caused over here when the tower attacked thrice, I think, is that these creeps will now die first because it simply didn't. There's a lot of damage dealt to the enemy wave, so their creeps will always die first and the lane will push. Even if I just last hit them, it won't be enough. Okay, the witch doctor keeps dragging the creeps, which is kind of bad. What you want to do as a support is not attack from right under the creeps to aggro them. This causes pushing. This is what upset the balance in the first place. You want to walk around here, over here maybe, to actually harass properly. I think I'll take this. I actually don't mind her right-clicking me and sending arrows into my body because I have a lot of armor and I have a lot of regen. So you don't have to be afraid of taking damage. Okay, so he's pushing the lane again, which is not good. Boss trips are bad. Okay, she took that. Didn't have enough damage. Lane's pushing constantly. He's denying. My job here is that, because we're pushing, is to actually try to either get all the denies, which Doctor is kind of helping with. Okay, so now the lane's a bit better. It's still not okay. My creeps are dying slower. And the damage on the enemy creeps is still higher. Okay, that's a torrent. Dealt a lot of damage there. I have a salve, so I'll salve up. They thought they had kill potential on us, but they did not. Now they have 2 range creeps, and we only have 1, which means that the lane's pushing to us. So, because they went on me and didn't accomplish much other than, I don't know, burning my regen, I'm actually in a good position now to farm, because the lane's pushing towards me. Okay. Ah, okay. I brain lag there. Okay. Mildly infuriating. Range creeps give the most amount of okay, they want me. Interesting. They could right click me here and I'd die. Okay. So now what I'm doing, I walked up here in between the range creep and the melee creeps of mine. I right clicked Kunkka once and then I started walking backwards. This makes the issuing of an attack order makes the enemy creeps get dragged towards me, and I'm doing this on purpose to actually drag them under the tower because I'm so low HP. I can't just walk up to the wave that's here and attack because I'll get punished by Kunkka and Windrunner. What I want to do right now is drag the creeps under the tower, even though I'm going to push the wave until my regen comes on the courier to actually farm them and get a bit more gold. I could very well die here to an arrow from Windrunner, which makes things kind of iffy, but I don't really mind. She has 120 mana, she could arrow at any point. I could spin if I see the arrow animation and just cancel it because it's magical damage.
Missing bottom.
There's the arrow, dodged. Walking here to deny this. I'm pretty low, my regen's here. I'm just going to wait for the regen and then go again. Lane's pushing under the tower again, which is great. Alright, and now I'm in good shape to actually play in the lane again. if you're in a bot game, you can give orders to the bots using alt. That's a nifty thing to know. You just alt ping things like this, and they'll start doing whatever you tell them to. For example, nah, he can just use his abilities now. Okay, he doesn't want to. Interesting. So the early game is basically a scramble for as much resources as you can. Okay, I have a healing ward now. More healing for us. Okay, now the lane's pushing. I'm going to. I have half a mind to just spin into the wave, but there's no reason to.
Your top tower's hurting.
I'm going to get powered creds soon, which will allow me to farm the jungle. Very important. Okay, there. This is quite interesting. I think Windrunner dies here. I might be wrong. Okay, she'll probably die to Maledict, yeah.
It was a mercy killing. Mineral is missing.
Had to happen.
I almost have the power treads, which will allow me to farm from the jungle. And after that, it just becomes a farming pattern, which will make it easy to actually gain control of the game. Their sniper died, interesting. Bot games are so weird. There's just scripts, and once you understand the script, the game becomes pretty easy. But there's a million things you can do in Dota before scripts. Okay, I'm gonna spin into this wave. Soon. Damn. Wow, arrow that deals so much damage. Going to maneuver the ward here. Okay. Thought she cancelled my ward, and we're gonna kill both of them here. Treads are here. For the cast, thank you. He'll die. This guy will die. Switching treads to agility when I'm dealing damage on him. Walking. I have superior movement speed, which allows me to actually hit him a few times. Not really afraid of him right-clicking me. Have a lot of armor. I'm gonna spin into this wave until Windrunner comes back. For efficiency, I'm leaving now the lane. I'm going here. I'll bring myself a salve, I think, maybe. Not really, no.
Mineral is missing.
If I had 100 more gold, I can buy a ring of health. But I cannot. Because there's no... I'll just put another ward down and spin into this. Okay, so their middle laner came to gank, which is interesting. I can go buy the ring now. I might die here, but I'm gonna just take a chance because it's boss. Okay, I didn't die. Great. Let's heal some more. Should have taken the ward with me.
Your bottom tower ain't long.
Now we're going bot lane. I won't be able to get this creep, but I'm going to be in XP range for it, which will grant me faster level 6. And I have a ring of protection and 14 armor, which makes it very hard for them to actually push me out of the lane. Don't have mana for Omni Slash. I have a Treads though, so if the moment is ripe, I could switch Treads to Int to actually use Omni Slash and kill them. Okay, this is interesting. Stop. Use arcanes. Use them. Give me mana. Okay. This is a double kill. Should be. She doesn't have mana. I think I'm gonna chase an Omni Slasher. While Windrunner uses Windrun, she has 100% evasion and avoiding all physical attacks, but thanks to that, I just chased her. I tanked a few tower hits and used Omni Slash. It was an easy kill. And right now I'll just default farming creeps until I have Battle Fury. Probably. What tiers they have? They have a sniper. Okay, so maybe I shouldn't buy Battle Fury, I should buy Diffusal Manta. But Battle Fury will enable me to farm faster than them. It's sort of weird. All I need is to gap close against the sniper. If he's even farmed, if he's level 5. Yeah, there's no reason to play it out. Game's too easy. Right, so that's about everything on Juggernaut. I hope you'll enjoy the analysis. This is for Ram, and good luck. Maybe you'll play better.